Well, definitely, I have always been a people pleaser since
Mhm.
childhood. I've always felt like my happiness depended on if everyone else was happy, and I still really struggle with that now. I think now is when I'm finally putting boundaries and just being like, "Does this fulfill me? Is this something that I actually want to do? Do I actually agree with this? Do I actually like this too?" And so, like, that literally took till, like, late 20s, almost 30, and believe it or not, to, like, kinda be like, "Okay, what's Bree's self-worth? What does Bree actually believe and actually like?" It's been a whole journey, but I think it also stems from just always wanted to make sure that, like, I guess making sure that everyone knew I was a good kid, and I think it's just because, I mean, you already know, like, my family and I, we've gone through so much adversity, and a lot of adversity to where I didn't want anyone to think, like, it was anybody's fault for that adversity, so, like, being the oldest child, I share this all the time with Ignite the Hearts, my movement. My family and I, we were living in a transitional housing shelter, and I never wanted anyone to, like, blame my dad for that or blame my mom for that or any of those things, so I've always put not a pressure they put on me, a pressure I put on myself at a young age to be like, "Okay, I have to be the president of every club. I have to be a straight A student because I don't want to be the stereotype of like, I don't want my fate to be decided because of the adversity that I'm in." So,
Mhm.
like, I kept seeing a lot of the kids in the transitional housing shelter go from, like, feeling unworthy. So,
Mhm.
instead of going to the after school program, they became bullies or they got into drugs and alcohol at a very early age because everyone kept telling them that they weren't enough and they weren't gonna make it because of where their parents were or because of, like, this is the situation that they're in. You're a transitional housing shelter kid, you're a bad kid. You're a
Mhm.
stereotype going to be in a gang or going to get like pregnant early or do all these things that, like that's going to be your fate. And instead of those kids being loved on, instead of those kids having the proper community to help them grow, a lot of them end up believing that stereotype or believing their own fates and that thinking that's their self-worth.
Mm.
And when I was in the transitional housing shelter, I was viciously bullied. Like, I was also obese, and so a lot of the times, I was told I was the fat homeless girl. Like, that literally was my title. Nobody wanted to be my friend. Even though I didn't smell, everyone made, like, big comments about, like, "Oh, she's wearing the same clothes," or, "Oh, she smells" even though I didn't, like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like that, but it was middle school. People were
Mhm.
viciously I don't care what anyone says. Middle school kids are cruel because 'cause they're very
Girl,
blunt.
I know.
Like, um, and I was believing a lot of what they said. I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't feel accepted. I didn't feel loved. So my self-worth was I'm not enough and I need to show myself that I am enough.
Mm.
And, um, and I just kinda carried that the rest of my life. Even when I was, like, the most healthy or the most fit, I was like, "I'm not skinny enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not a good
Mhm.
actress. I'm not any of these things." I kept thinking I had to be more and more and more until I put a pressure one day in my life to where I just kind of cracked and I fell apart. And that was just lack of me telling myself I wasn't enough. And I still struggle with that till this day, which is why I started the 1% series because no
Mhm.
one else has ever put that on me. I come from a family that's very, very loving. Like, my
Mhm.
dad, you know him, one of the
Yeah.
greatest dads anyone could ask
Big
for.
teddy bear. I miss him. How's he doing? Sorry, I'm getting distracted now. Tell me said hey.
Yeah, like, literally the greatest dad anyone could ask for. He never
Yeah.
once told me that I needed to be more than like, he
Mhm.
saw my drive, he saw how much I was pushing, and, like, he was the one that actually got me into acting,